Well, good morning, everybody. I'm New York State Senator Jake Ashby. I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank my colleagues in government, Assemblywoman Mary Beth Walsh, Senator Jim Tedisco, everybody from the Post here at Zaluga. They've just been fantastic. And the reason that we are here today is really two-pronged. We are calling again on the governor and the Department of Veterans Services to release these funds. And, you know, many times in the legislature, we are advocating for more funding. But here we are talking about funding that has already been donated by taxpayers. This funding exists. And where would it go? I want you to think of the Vietnam veteran who gave up a portion of their youth, men and women, who went overseas to fight for our country, to fight for our freedoms, and came back and were unfairly treated for a very long time. Perhaps they encountered some additional hardships, and now they may be looking in the later stages of their life for long-term care. They may be at one of our veterans nursing homes here in New York State. And I think everybody out there understands the issues that we are facing in long-term care right now and looking for additional funding. Well, here it is. Here is that additional funding that could help pay for new ventilation systems, new beds, staffing. It's right here, and it's not moving. We have a bill, myself and Assemblywoman Mary Beth Walsh carry a bill that would help streamline this process. But there's also a part of me, and I think everybody else in this room, that recognizes that there is already a process and that they need to follow the law. The funds need to be released. And not in a onesie-twosie type manner. By law, every year, all of these funds need to be released and go for their intended use. They are donations given by the taxpayers for men and women who've sacrificed on behalf of us in ways that I think many of us can't imagine. And we need to recognize that and honor their sacrifice and the willingness of the taxpayers to donate to them. First up, I'd like to acknowledge my colleague Mary Beth Walsh, who's been a tremendous partner. I served with her in the New York State Assembly, has been a mentor to me in many ways, and has been a great leader for our veteran community. Mary Beth?
Good morning, everybody. So we pass a couple thousand bills a year in the New York State Assembly, New York State Senate. I'm very, very proud to be partnering with Senator Ashby on what I think is a very simple fix to the problem that we became aware of and know about, that Senator just talked about, that is just completely inexcusable. I want to thank the New York State Comptroller, first of all, for the report that he issued earlier this year, in January of this year, that really itemized and detailed the 34 different checkoffs that we have. The most of any state. New York has 34 checkoffs, 4 that had specifically to do with veterans, where when we fill out our personal income tax, we can make a donation. Those donations, as the comptroller identified, were just kind of sitting there and not going to do the good work that needs to be done, particularly for our military, our returning veterans, and their families. So let me just review quickly what the bill will do. The bill will change the way that the money is paid out of the Veterans Home Assistance Fund. It changes the person who approves and certifies vouchers from the Commissioner of Health to the Commissioner of Veteran Services. Now, when the Commissioner of Veteran Services position was created, the whole point of that back in 2021 was to create kind of a one-stop shop for everything to do with Veterans Affairs. And what we want to do is try to cut through some of the red tape and streamline the funds to get there so that then the commissioner can approve vouchers and get that money out working. So It will go, and the other thing I would say is that where the money is going right now, for example, Department of Health, think about how massive the agency, the Department of Health is. Think about how if the money can go directly and get streamlined to a place that is designated strictly to help the veteran community, how much better that could be. So the bill would do that. It would switch it from the Commissioner of Health to the Commissioner of Veteran Services. It'll change the annual expenditure report to be written by the Commissioner of Veteran Services instead of the Commissioner of Health. Section 2 will change how the money is paid out of the Military Family Relief Fund. It'll change the person who approves and certifies vouchers from the Commissioner of Tax and Finance to the Commissioner of Veteran Services. Again, bringing it into under that umbrella. And then I think there's a really separate component that is every bit as important, and that's the reporting piece. So on or before the 1st of February every year, the Commissioner of Veteran Services, not Health, not anybody else, shall provide a written report to a whole list of people in our government and to the public, which will be transparent and will identify how this money is getting out there, how it's being spent, and we all have a right to know, whether you're in government, whether you're a veteran, whether you're a member of the public, you need to know where this money is going, and this bill will ensure that reporting is done properly, thoroughly, transparently on an annual basis. So that's the gist of what the bill does. It's not a very long bill, but sometimes the best ones are short and to the point. I think that this will make an important change and will really address what, I want to thank the media and the controller for bringing this problem forward, and I want to thank Senator Ashby for his quick action in designing a bill that will help to address it and will help to make sure that, again, that the money is going to the places that it should be going to, and that we all know what's happening to our money, right? The public's money that was donated. So at this point, I'd welcome Senator Ashby to come up and introduce our next speaker. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Jake.
Here in the Capital District and across our nation, we're fortunate enough to have great posts, and the Zaluga Post certainly shines, and they do a tremendous job in advocacy, community outreach, and really keeping our veteran family alive. And retired Sergeant Major Ken Secor, the vice commander here, is an integral part of that and part of the next generation that will continue to carry on that tradition. And I'd like to ask Ken to come up and say a few words.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all for coming. We here at the Zaluga Post fully support Senator Ashby's initiatives. These are funds that can go and support a lot of programs that support our veterans, things that fall in line with what the American Legion is doing. So thank you all for coming, and Senator Ashby, thank you for your efforts.
For the longest time, I thought Ken was on the officer's side, so there were plenty of times when I was talking with him and I had my hands in my pockets. I had no idea that he was a retired sergeant major, so that will never happen again. In the Senate, my colleague Jim Tedisco, as a tireless advocate for veterans, has been working on their behalf for a very long time and has led the way on a number of issues, and I'm very proud that he is here today and willing to take a stand on this issue. Jim.
Thank you, Senator. And first of all and foremost, let me tell you, you have a great leader in the New York State Senate as ranking member. Senator Ashby is doing a tremendous job there. He stands up every day on every issue that relates to our veterans. And this is one example of what he's done. I appreciate you being the main sponsor on this, sponsoring this bill. And Assemblywoman Walsh, you probably don't know what her duties are. But if she had to explain them to you, they'd probably take an hour and a half, because she has to stand up on a lot of bills on the Assembly floor. We stand up on individual bills we're concerned about. We can't, but her job is to be working with others there. And each and every bill she has to read, she has to understand them, and she does tremendous floor work. So they sponsored these bills, and I'm proud to be able to be a prime sponsor on Senator Ashby's prime bill in the New York State Senate. Let me say this to you. I woke up this morning. We have pretty large districts. Today will probably be, I know I'll be at 5 or 6 different events. I know they'll be traveling around probably. So I don't always look at my car and see the amount of gas I have in my car. So I get up in the morning today and I go, oh, I'm not going to make it to Albany. I got to stop and get gas. And it really relates to what we're seeing here now. I got over there, and it is still hovering. Unfortunately, I bought a car 3 or 4 years ago that takes prime gasoline, the top-level gasoline, hovering around $5 right now. We've had some of the longest extended inflation maybe in the history of New York in this nation. Filled up my gas tank. I don't even want to tell you what the cost of it was. And I thought to myself, our constituents, New Yorkers, Americans, took the time in the highest tax state, and I'm sorry to have to say this, in the nation, okay? New York State, highest tax state, and then checked off above and beyond what the taxes they're paying to support what I call the best and brightest, most courageous fighting force in the world, the men and women behind me, the men and women of the United States Armed Forces. Took the time to check that off and donate it beyond what they had to pay. And the one thing I'm pretty sure about, they not only respect, they not only appreciate, they not only love what's being provided by our veterans, putting their lives on the line. They expected that money to go out the door to the individuals who are facing traumatic types of situations in their life, whether it's a disability, psychological, emotional, health care, what Senator Ashby outlined for you now. The money that this funding languishing there should go for. And you should know this. I talked about this earlier with the senator. In many instances, we'll have a $237 billion budget, which we have now, which funding for this sometimes is located. And it languishes there sometimes, and what they do is they sweep the money. Oh, it didn't go out the door, let's move it to something else. This is not something that should be swept to another part of a pet project for a governor or for a group of legislators. This is money designated to the individuals who made us the greatest and kept us the greatest state and the greatest nation in the world. The individuals behind us, past, present, and future. They were willing to sacrifice everything, their freedom, their liberty, their lives, so we could have that freedom and liberty and live it at the highest level. Every individual that's born into this world, in every part of this world, has those same freedoms and liberties. They're inalienable rights. We get to live them at the highest level because of the men and women behind me and out there right now putting their lives on the line. It's unconscionable to have this money languishing there and not be moving it out the door as expediently as possible to get these programs up and running, whether it's health care, job training, education, any of those areas. So to put a bill in that says you're going to have to do this, speed up the process, you're going to have to follow the law. The only thing we might add to this thing is, guess what, when you don't pay your taxes on time? Do you think you can hang around a little bit and you won't get a little notification from the state of New York? You not only have to pay your taxes, you're going to pay a penalty for it. Maybe we should put a penalty in this particular area. Yeah. You don't get money out the door within 25 to 30 days, something like that, even a week if we could, but reasonable. It's expanded. You increase the percentage from what you have to give. Take those away from, I like the Buffalo Bills, but I don't know if I want to pay $600 million for a football field in Buffalo, okay? Or $750 million to bring in Hollywood moguls who make billions of dollars to spend 3 days here. And I'm sure a lot of those people aren't veterans who are getting those jobs for 3 days, then go back to Hollywood. $700 million in the budget for that. There's a lot better and more important places where we can spend the money, especially if we have it, and we have it. So I can't thank my colleagues enough for standing up on the floor, putting this bill in place and allowing me to co-sponsor it. And I would just say, God bless our veterans, and thank you for the service you provide. We appreciate it.
Just last year, we celebrated the 50th anniversary of the end of the Vietnam War. And when we think about how far we've come since then, the generation of veterans that I belong to, better treated because of the men and women behind me, because of what they did and their advocacy for us. And it's one of the many reasons why I will not stop advocating on behalf of them and for these funds to be released. I'll do it till the end of time, until my last breath. This needs to be done. New York State, the way that we treat our veterans in comparison with other states is abysmal. The apathy is at times disgusting. And this is evidence of that. And I want to thank my colleagues for coming here today. I want to thank the veterans that are here today because I know they feel the same way. And I know that their commitment to one another will endure longer than the apathy that we are seeing right now. Thank you. Any questions?
I'll make it quick. I know I asked last time when the money wasn't out. You said you believe it's apathy and disorganization that's kept it held up. Is that something you'd still stand by today? Why, even month and a half later, is this money not out the door?
Yes, I believe that it's still incompetence and apathy right now. We have met with members of the governor's team and the department and continue to kind of get the same song and dance on this issue, meaning that it's coming. Well, 6 years is a long time to hear that, you know, and for the men and women who have sacrificed on behalf of us and their families, that's the wrong answer. There is no excuse for this. The right answer is that you have it now. That's the answer. Any other questions? Yes.
For Walsh, a bit about how you said the money is going to be tracked about where it's going, how it's getting out. What will that process look like if this bill were to pass? How are we going to know where the money is going?
There's going to be there's a requirement of an annual report every February that the Commissioner of Veterans Affairs will have to put out. And it's going to have to, and I'll just let you know, it's going to go to people like the temporary president of the Senate, the Speaker of the Assembly, the Chair of the Senate Finance Committee, the Chair of the Assembly Ways and Means Committee, the Chair of the Senate Committee on Health, the Chair of the Assembly Health Committee, the State Comptroller, and the public. So that reporting is going to have to include how the monies of the fund were utilized during the preceding calendar year and shall include the amount of money dispersed from the fund and the award process used for the disbursements, the recipients of the awards from the fund, the amount awarded to each, the purpose for which such awards were granted, and a summary financial plan for such monies, which shall include estimates of all receipts and all disbursements for the current and succeeding fiscal years, along with the actual results from the prior fiscal year. That is comprehensive reporting. That is transparency. That's what we need. That's what we need here. People have a right to know. I don't care if somebody checked a box and gave $10. I don't care if they gave $20. I don't care how much money we're talking about. Whatever it is, it needs to be accounted for, and we need to know that it's going out to work in the communities. So that's the level of transparency and reporting that's going to be required on an annual basis. So I think that that's going to go a long way, and I think that that's a very reasonable thing to expect of all of our agencies, of all of our divisions, of all of our departments. When you're spending the people's money, well, in this case, they weren't spending it. It was just sitting there doing nothing, which is actually just criminal. But if you're going to spend it, let us know what you're doing with it, how you awarded it, and let us all know. I think that that's minimally what we should be expecting from our government. So I'm really glad to be able to work with the senator to bring this forward. Yeah.
First off, thank you, everybody, for being here and doing this. It is crucial, absolutely crucial. There's so much need out there. I don't need to regurgitate. But my question to you, is there a call to action on this? Asking for it. Can you get it out to us, the call to action? And then we can send it to all of our Congress, Senate, and everything?
We could
Sure,
certainly
yeah,
do that.
absolutely.
Yeah.
We can communicate that,
First,
yes.
because then groups like AMVETS, all of them, Angus, AUSA, we can, yes, we can get it out to the people, and we can get it out to other organizations to help support getting this out.
I appreciate that. I think that's a great idea.
I don't see that this is gonna be a difficult thing, but you know what? If we start stomping the ground and saying, you know what, it's time, there's too much need out there. And the second part is, how can we support you on getting it done, other than the call to action?
Well, I think that that's a lot of it, the call to action. I mean, we know that, I know in my office, I'm sure in Senator Tedisco's office, Senator Ashby's office, we get a flood of emails and phone calls every week, and that squeaky wheel does get the grease. And you're absolutely right, and we appreciate that. That could really help to move this forward. So we'll get in touch with you and get you the information you need, and we appreciate those efforts, because that really does make a big difference, don't you think?
It does.
Yeah.
Sir?
Yeah. Are we talking about more than one fund?
Yes, talking about four funds. Fund for veteran cemeteries, homeless veterans, veterans nursing homes, and the Military Family Relief Fund. And the totals are just over $3 million, close to 3.5.
We, the veterans here, here at the Zaloga Post, no, that's okay. Here at the Zaloga Post, are always glad to support events like this because it's for the veteran. So other than, you know, that I take the photos, send things my way, I'll post it.
Okay.
And a lot of veterans will see it also.
All right.
Thank you for what you're doing, all three.
Absolutely.
Anyone else?
I have a quick question, Senator. I read that the money was already being allocated for a test pilot program. Can you speak to that as to whether that's true or if that can be reversed?
I think, Colleen, we can talk about that offline, but it sounded to me as if they were, with the Homeless Veterans Fund, looking at a potential pilot program for that. I haven't heard
A potential, okay.
whether or not those funds have moved. So thank you all for coming.